if you were to have your house tested for mold currently, and you wanted to have a professional come in and do the testing, they would come in with a whole bunch of tools, right? Moisture meters, infrared, potentially, and at the end of the inspection, they would likely recommend air sampling. Generally speaking, what you'll have is the recommendation of air samples using spore traps, which is this technology, right? And it's exactly what it sounds like. These cassettes capture the airborne microscopic spores. The thing is, in order to have these samples collected, you have to use an air sampling pump, which is an expensive calibrated device. So what we did was we figured out how to make one that's very consumer friendly, right? Instead of a $1,000 calibrated device, we make one for a whole lot less. It duplicates exactly the same airflow rate, everything exactly the same. So it all begins with an outdoor air sample. We do this because their spores are normal in every environment. And so what we want to know is what's outside in order to essentially delete it from what we find indoors. Healthy background mold indoors should be from outside. The outdoor sample runs for 5 minutes. It's got a built-in timer. Once it's finished, you'll then remove it, replace the tabs, put it back into the same slot from which it came, and then you'll do the same thing for the indoor samples in the areas that you're concerned with. This is a 2-room kit. We have 1, 2, and 3-room kits. Once you're finished collecting the samples, you go to gotmold.com/activate, where you'll put in your details, where you collected the samples, where you want the report sent, etc. You'll remove this protective layer from the adhesive strip, close this up, and this is your return mailer. Boom, this goes to the lab. U.S. Postal Service time plus 3 business days at the lab, and you end up with this beautiful report. It looks a lot like this. In fact, it looks exactly like this, although it comes in recycled electrons, not plastic. This is a green, yellow, orange, red interpretation of the raw lab data. So this is a 3-room kit. And you can see, typically, and this is a real report, 3 very different conditions detected within these samples. There's also the raw lab data, which includes the types of molds detected and the quantities, as well as background debris, which is a general indoor air quality assessment. In other words, this is the microscopic dust load. You'll notice that we categorize these molds into common dominant spores, which is what it sounds like. These are the typical mold spores that are abundant in a normal environment, and then water damage indicators. When these show up even in small amounts, it's clear evidence that there's something amiss. The last page is next steps. So this reiterates what we found in plain English, and then we also provide them with resources for next steps, including an ebook we produce, which is filled with inspection checklists and FAQs, and we debunk and demystify a lot of the mold myths in there, and then links to finding qualified inspectors and remediators in your area through the trade associations, which train and certify, which we trust. And there's some other additional resources down here that are a self-assessment tool and some other things like that. Once you've used the kit, you've got the report, you still own the pump. This is now yours to keep. And what this does is it allows you to retest again for less. So this box number 2 is now what you would purchase as a refill. So if you wanted to retest, you can then choose, just like with our kits, they're 1, 2, and 3 rooms. You have 1, 2, and 3 room refills. And the good news is that they're $50 less. So once you've owned the pump, you can retest for less. And a lot of people not only keep these to use themselves, but they also give it to friends, family. We have physicians who buy these kits and then give them to their patients. And they happen to come inside the box with a neat little, so you can store it, and you can also give it away very easily.
Before you hang up, there are the traditional sort of petri dish type setups for collection, and the challenge there is it doesn't really give you a true test. It's just getting a sampling of some of the air and some of the spores that may be dropping down to that little dish that you curate. So it's not really as anywhere nearly as a valid test as what Jason has come up with here. So I'm behind this guy and behind this work 100%, and I think our whole community is going to love this. So we're glad to have him on board.
Thank you.